Welcome to another quick update while we work on some P3 stuff. Actually, some AMD Ryzen scrolling by that I partially actually already nearly forgot on the 7th of July. Wait a second, do we not have desktop audio? Why would we not? Anyway, doesn't matter too much whether you have desktop audio, because it is more interesting not to listen to those funny jokes in the beginning here, but to their benchmarks. So of course we are right now only a smaller YouTube creator here and not getting yet early access to this latest and greatest silicon. However, here are some benchmarks that are interesting to look at, of course, and the performance is approximately as we would expect here from, or as advertised, in the ballpark of a comparable Core i9 9700 or in whatever way 9900 you want to pronounce this. So on just IPC level here, in kind of gaming, not heavy multi-threaded scenario, Intel can still sometimes lead a little bit, but when you get into highly multi-threaded workloads, then AMD is just blowing Intel away here and out of the water. You have Mozilla Firefox compiler. I slightly wonder, did they really measure this there? Do they have infrastructure for that or whatever? Maybe on Debian. This is of course also a little bit compile time, something. Yeah, compile time on what, which compiler, which platform, quality benchmarks, you name it. But in any case, as to be expected, either compiling or certainly Blender or whatsoever, thermal performance. Anyway, also why do we have to resort to this kind of commentary here? As I said, we don't have early access, and also I will not have access. I said in earlier videos I will buy this like instantly. However, I just realized, so I just checked supply, and neither Amazon nor local IT supply has stock or even a listing. So either in Amazon.com, Amazon.de or our local supply, IT business supply, it's not yet listed, even if I wanted. So this is why, unfortunately, I thought I'd rather make a short commentary now pointing this out. If you want to get something latest and greatest today, you most likely want to go with AMD Ryzen. As you have seen, actually I should have actually took it out of the racks here. So as you've seen also our amazing stuff here, our amazing Ryzen build, of course, that is rocking an Ryzen 2600 or something. In any case, you can go and watch the previous year's video. So this should probably be just upgradable if ASUS has an BIOS update for this. Of course, you're not getting the PCIe Gen 4 that I today don't really need. So for an initial upgrade, I would want the CPU cycles. And the thing is, I would want to order here some Ryzen. Here's a 16 core, because you have seen the other live stream, Firefox Rust compilation and stuff like that. And for this, certainly I want to upgrade this 8 core, because if I want to upgrade something, usually you have seen we are quite some cheapskate here and saving wherever we can. And usually I go with something mid-range and slightly phased out. But when we already upgrade now relatively early, after just 1 year, I would want to like double the performance. And for all the massive compilation, machine learning, image processing, and yeah, Rust compilation, you name it, I would want to have like significantly more performance. And this 16 core 32 thread Screamer here would of course be ideal. However, this SKU is not yet available. So right now you can only, I don't know, buy, I don't know, I guess this black SKUs here or something. So in any case, this is why I decided to make the short shout out here in between hacking on the P3. Unfortunately, I just realized I have to wait another month or two, and yeah, this is shout out. If you want the latest greatest performance, this is certainly something you want to go with. And unfortunately, the highest performance SKU is yeah, to be scheduled another month. So as soon as this is available, I will certainly try to squeeze this in there, which is of course a massive upgrade, because this is I think 65 watt SKU there. So wattage wise, this will be quite some bump. And of course, they write here, it's not available because the binning, here is it second chip something, the binning, they need time to have so many binned compute cores there, because this is, as you may or may not have seen here, this multi-die package. So this I/O die is 10 or so nanometer, and the compute dies are 7 nanometer, and this is why probably, as speculated in this article, and sounds likely, they need to gather quite some Z-rated dies there for those SKU to ship. And then of course, it is of course total borderline to squeeze a 105 watt TDP part in this mini ITX case there on my side. But I read some articles that the AMD thermal design power here is on the boost level, and Intel is allegedly listing the thermal design power on the base clock. So as usual, slightly irritating, and if it's true, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe not. But I slightly also wonder why AMD does to need to do this, because this is of course putting those listings here a little bit in an unfavorable position. And yeah, as soon as this, because it makes no sense with my $3 a day on YouTube AdSense here to upgrade on to $500 CPU when all I want is actually the 16-core version. So as soon as this is out, there will be an update. Otherwise, here of course the benchmarking. This is of course probably AMD, I guess, marketing slides. If you get a Ryzen 3000, leave us in the comments below what your findings are, but certainly I would be surprised. I mean, not only Linus Tech Tips here, but also other creators. This is why the YouTube algorithm of course demands that I make this live stream. I slightly wonder why the desktop audio apparently does not work in OBS, but that is the regular stuff. I would be surprised if your findings here are different than theirs. Yeah, desktop audio disabled. What? Why is this disabled? Yeah, this is of course. Then we could also watch here this funny intro that I have to give Linus Tech Tips shout out for, at least in latest times, creative acting. Certainly also enjoying Anthony for that. Let's see if we have audio now. And also, yeah, this is only the year of Desktop Linux 2019 with my portable. Where do I have it even laying? Somewhere here. Also shouldn't move it too much. So yeah, this comes from having my external SSD booted here, and then the audio device on Alza is on each machine another one, and then OBS is losing the desktop audio assignment there.
Let's get this out of the way. Even the most ardent AMD fan knows that Intel is king when it comes to gaming, and AMD always has been and always will be nothing but a second choice for poor people. And everyone, including myself, has only themselves to blame for getting wrapped up in the hype around the 3rd gen Ryzen launch and jumping on the bandwagon too early. Let's throw up some numbers here, shall we? So as you guys can see here, a simple die shrink was never going to...
Yeah, a simple die shrink, just like Intel can't get their act together for a couple of talks already. And also, I made this other video, make no mistake, the latest Intel CPUs, even the upcoming ones, Ice Lake or whatever that was, 10th gen, I guess even they have no creative ideas like massive parallel super pipelining whatsoever, magic instructions of what sort. All Intel, or not all, but what Intel has done 90% of the time is also just doubling all the caches and buffers. And this, I made this other videos already, only doubling all the caches and buffers is not doubling the performance, because as I said in the other video, the L1 level 1 cache efficiency is already, let's pull some random guesstimate, let's say 60%, L2 cache is 80%, L3 cache 90%, unless you have some total random memory access anyway. So this is why with such kind of efficiency and with doubling all the caches and buffers, you are not doubling the efficiency. If you have 60% L1 cache efficiency, doubling it, maybe you get 80% and something. This is why even on the Intel side with the upcoming CPUs, even Intel has only some estimated 18% performance increase, and because they are only closing the gap in efficiency just so much, and because you still have cache misses, right? It's not like you double the L1 and L2 caches and you have like 100% cache hits, of course not. You still have whatever your workload might be cache misses, and this is why you only get some 80% increase anyway.
A simple die shrink was, hey, AMD is tied with Intel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's CSGO. That's known to...
Yep, at least creative acting, you have to give them that. And you've seen the numbers there, Adobe Premiere. So yeah, unless you have a very specific gaming workload where Intel is like 2, 3, 4% faster, then yeah, I don't have such gaming workloads. So for me, like, you have seen the others, you have seen their Firefox compile, Adobe also not using Adobe Premiere, but maybe we soon switch to whatever the Linux video editing was there. So you see here 30 seconds faster, at least plus minus, give or take, or something of that sort. And even the improvement, right? If you compare this to Ryzen 7 2700 to Ryzen 7 3700, even there 40 seconds less on the Adobe Premiere export. Not that we would use such commercial software here, but this certainly reflects one-to-one to compiles. Like I certainly have here the Linux kernel compile for the PS3 here, not making that up. That is certainly coming soon. So if I can compile a PS3, cross-compile this on the Ryzen or SGI Octane, certainly welcome. If I compile the Linux kernel on 32 threads instead of 16 and in 15 minutes instead of 30 or something of that sort. So I hope you enjoyed this quick summary, as we have some people in the audience. If you have questions, there's really not that much to add. The only thing is, it looks a little bit, unfortunately I have to say, not sure. Do you have a source for those? Because I did not head in the 5 stores from Amazon to local supply. I checked, but nonetheless, if I would order this, I said I would order the highest SKU for the 16 cores there. And yeah, otherwise here a huge long article if you want to study this. And of course the conclusion is shy of the very best overall absolute winner. Just as I would have expected, and as I said already multiple times, this is exactly what competition means. To all the Intel fans, the more competition the better, also to ARM and RISC-V certainly, although of course neither ARM nor RISC-V has such high performance, super scalar, super massive parallel core count and so on. On the market, of course, for RISC-V, this will be likely a decade, unless there will be surprises, and we see this in 5 years to come. Questions taken otherwise, as we have no early access, the only thing I could do here is quote those numbers, unfortunately. But as I said, they look exactly like predicted. And also for the NVIDIA Super GPUs, by the way, was it somewhere? Was it this or the other. Maybe it was another version here. It was another. Even there, you know, we are huge fans of open source drivers, so there I would not even consider the NVIDIA super stuff. And even on that front, we have already the drivers to give a shout out on another site here. Even there, you have here RedV Vulkan driver manages launch day support for AMD Navi. Apparently, RedV is looking for something, whatever. Anyway, there is on the Mesa and Linux kernel front, you have seen, I think I made a live stream about that. Was it 500,000 lines of code or whatever? That was, of course, not amazing that it is so many lines of code. As you know, we like small and beautiful, but at least launch day support is there. Although it's massive, but that's another thing. And with a big caveat, what is a caveat? So yeah, AMD graphic support is also there, no surprise there. And as soon as this is shipping, we will, well, shipping for the SKUs that we want here. What is the caveat? I want to know that, so no. And yeah, also not a huge fan of this clickbait of you need to scroll through all the pictures and then you don't have even the first result. So what is the test result here? Core i Threadripper. Okay, this is old stuff. Ryzen. What is this even? Geometric mean of all test results. What? Where is even Threadripper? Oh, so okay. So this is now on par of some previous Threadripper, which is certainly amazing for the thermal envelope anyway. And Core i9, I slightly wonder why is this of all tests, whatever. What is the caveat? Here's a look, geometric mean, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Improvements. Ryzen shows up a 10% improvements over what? Ryzen? Also over the Ryzen. And that was what I... Is this not the same? Is this a typo? The Ryzen 7 3700X shows a 10% improvement also over the Ryzen 7. You can't make this up. Read this here first time and already the first sentence doesn't even make sense to me. Certainly typo, maybe they mean 2700 or something of that sort. And still wonder what is the caveat here. It's a problem, you're not currently booting. Oh, okay, maybe something not booting, I guess, is the caveat. To summarize this already for you here live on YouTube, maybe I should have checked Phoronix. And yeah, don't forget to share, like and subscribe, because we certainly need to grow this channel on a level where we get early access to this kind of stuff to provide you more than a summary of other use sites. We're already super happy that Lenovo takes us seriously enough to have us here long-term support of ThinkPad stuff, which is already amazing. Can't give them a huge, they have not even asked for a shout out, but I certainly am more than happy to give them a shout out for that. And questions in the audience otherwise. One last note, I should probably reiterate this: as much as we are a fan of this performance numbers, we accidentally, only kind of accidentally, found out researching, compiling all the numbers, comparing and so on, matching the AMD Mobile 3000 series is Zen 1 Plus that we already live streamed and pointed out before. So if you buy a latest AMD ThinkPad, the ThinkPad T495 S and not S and so on, that AMD Pro 3000 something mobile series is unfortunately totally misleading Zen 1 Plus. So it is unfortunately some 18% slower than it would be if there would be mobile Zen 2 silicon. And my personal estimate, as I said in the other live stream, linear interpolated from previous mobile releases from AMD is likely, well, certainly not a big surprise, likely named AMD Mobile 4000. Unfortunately, and that is likely beginning of next year, so then, but yeah, you can't always have everything, you can't have the cake and eat it too, and on the Intel side you still don't have the latest and greatest IC like something on the most part, besides it's overpriced anyway. So yeah, That is the biggest caveat there on the mobile side, unfortunately, but yeah, still comparable. Intel is also lacking, so that's what you get. Mobile, you get that performance, you get graphic performance, and you have Linux support, and I can't change it, unfortunately. I wish I would, but I can't. I'm not a manager or engineer at AMD, and they most likely do this exactly. And unfortunately, well, as amazing as this performance numbers are, of course the model numbering is not amazing. Most likely, my personal guesstimate and feeling is AMD is doing this exactly to mislead the consumers a little bit, exactly for having people to buy Ryzen 3000 mobile ThinkPads or Dell Hewlett-Packard and so on machines, because when users like you and me read these articles and they read Ryzen 3000 and then they have a ThinkPad 3000, they of course think that is the same silicon architecture level, and unfortunately it is not. And I'm really not a fan of AMD doing this, but yeah, marketing department, I guess. So somehow my live YouTube stuff here does not show any comments, but sometimes that is wrong. We could reload this. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Again, highly appreciated. I wish I could give you more, but I don't have the silicon. And again, if you want to support us here to have Linux and open source benchmarking and low-level programming stuff, early access, then don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Somehow no questions, so then have a good night, I guess, and see you tomorrow for most likely PS3 stuff. I was fiddling here on merging and forward porting some PS3 block device stuff, because the Linux kernel developers have unfortunately taken away here some API. This is why it takes some time to merge this stuff here. You see here, I didn't make this up, by the way. What am I even showing? Okay, I'm showing the right thing. And yeah, history, I checked this on, you see, com.de and also other stuff. And where is my Linux kernel? Here somewhere, like maybe this. Yeah, this. So the Linux kernel also not a fan, just like from the AMD marketing numbers, not a fan of the constant changing APIs. So because the whole kernel was converted from some old style driver to some new style block multi-queue, or what this is, the old API is gone, and this is why I need to port the multi-region Game OS access stuff to this new API and hopefully boot it soon. So yeah, hope to see you soon for all this fun stuff to come. And as usual, not only share, like, and subscribe, but leave me in the comments below what you like to see, and see what you like and dislike and what you want me to test and benchmark and whatnot. And then we do this sometime soon.